Chapter 17. Back Along the Trail. Raids by the Comanches continued along the Texas frontier for another 15 years, but they lessened in frequency and violence. While serving with the Texas Rangers for several years, Thad Conway did his part in ending the Indian raids. If any braves of Yellow Cloud's band were among those who attacked the Conways' Double Barrow Ranch on several occasions, Thad never knew of it. Scarponi kept the promise he had made that Little Bit would not be stolen again. When Thad was 20 years old, Little Bit came once again into his possession. It was then that he and Melissa were married. The rest of their lives, Melissa jokingly insisted that the only reason Thad married her was to get back his pony. When Thad had built up a herd of his own, he chose an open pair of scissors, like the scar on Little Bit, as his brand. Cattlemen far and near came to know the Scissors Ranch and to respect the quality of cattle that bore Thad's brand, but few ever knew the origin of the mark. Finally, the day came when Thad retired from ranching and gave his herds and lands to his eldest son, young Giles. One day when Giles was opening his mail, he exclaimed, "Dad, did you know a Comanche boy named Scarponi?" "Yes, son, I did," Thad answered. "He was my best friend among the Comanches." "Here's a letter from Oklahoma," Giles told him, "asking for some of our best breeding stock. It is signed Leonard Scarponi. Might be a kin of your old pal." "Why, of course, son, it has to be. No doubt it is Scarponi's son. I'd love to see old Scarponi. I heard that he took over as chief of the band after Yellow Cloud died. Could have had that job myself, I reckon, if I'd stayed with them." He chuckled with amusement at the thought. "Well, Dad, I'll be taking a shipment of cows to this Leonard Scarponi in a couple of weeks. How about coming along?" So it came about that Thad Conway and Scarponi met once more. They no longer considered themselves enemies, and Thad was amazed at the changes in the Comanche manner of life. No longer raiders and killers, they were living peacefully on farms and ranches, sending sons and daughters to school and building houses. Leonard Scarponi, he was told, was a leader in his tribe and was helping build up the quality of the Indians' cattle. He was a graduate of an agricultural college and had heard of the cattle with the famous Scissor brand. Scarponi had accepted the white man's lifestyle of dress in only a few particulars. He wore a hat with the crown high and uncrushed, with a feather in the band. His hair was cut short, like the white man's. Indian buckskin shirt above white man's trousers plus beaded moccasins completed his dress. He still preferred to live in the portable buffalo hide lodge of his ancestors beside a creek. Those children had built houses for their families. "I'm a deacon in the church," Scarponi told him. "We no longer fear the spirits. Many of us worship as you do. We honor the Father God and his Son, who loves both Indians and white men. Now we teach the young of our tribe to love, not to hate." "I'm glad to hear that," Thad told him. "How did it come about?" "Missionaries from many churches come and teach Comanches about this God in this book. Then I remember what you tell me many years ago. You tell us to love our enemies, not to hate them. These things I believe. It is good truth. Has made my family very happy." And so the old times were recalled, and events of those long ago days lived in the memories of two old men, one dark, one fair. As Thad Conway sat on his front porch, He began to reminisce as Melissa came out to sit beside him. "Just think of it now," he said. "Scarponi thinks I taught him to love his enemies. And all the time, I was trying my best to hate the Comanches. Guess I didn't do such a good job of hating after all." "Well, dear," Melissa answered, "hatred does more harm to the vessel that holds it than it does to the one it is poured out upon." Thad spoke again. "Scarponi, my enemy, became the best friend of my boyhood, mostly because of Little Bit. Only he called her Blackbird. Both of us loved her." "All of us loved Little Bit," Melissa said. They sat for a long time in silence as the shadow of a little black Spanish mare, now long gone, seemed to rise before their eyes.